So from this very basic non-formal understanding of learning in any kind of situation, we now move to a more semi-formal learning situation and try to use the same basic model. The difference here is not the situation, but a more, we could call it a setting. It's something that is arranged. It's arranged an exhibition with a purpose. And in this situation, we also have institutional norms. We know how to behave in a museum. Do not touch, do not run around, do not shout loud. And in this setting, in this case, the exhibition, people go around, they transform, they reflect, they engage, and they construct some kind of understanding of what's going on here. And this understanding, usually we talk about it when we go and have a cup of coffee afterwards, or when I talk to my friend, I say, oh, this exhibition, you have to go and see it. But how can we study it? So what we did in, this was a huge international project on mini making in museums, and this is from a dissertation by Eva Insolander. We looked at, in this case, Swedish prehistory at the Museum of Natural Antiquities. So to the left is the prehistory one, which is built up in sceneries, 8 different sceneries, related to one, so to say, story of a man or woman at the time. And all the things are arranged in colors, lots of sounds, pictorial illustration, photos, films, lots of things is going on here. And the second one, Prehistory 2, is more built like an airport with different gates where you can make transits to the past in different ways, and where lots of questions relating to your own time. But we're going to keep the first one, Prehistory 1. How can we study it? So we did 3 things. We took visitors in pairs and asked them if they were interested. And if they agreed to be part of this study, they had an MP3 player, and we video filmed them when they walked around in this exhibition to see the trajectory, where they stopped and talked, where they paused, who actually was the active part in introducing communication, but also how did they reflect upon what they saw. And we could see that was kind of engagements on different, perhaps not levels, but at least aspects. One was astonishment. Oh, that's great. Oh, horrible. Oh, big, beautiful, colors. Lots of engagement on that more emotional level. Another level was, which can be shown here, because we also gave the visitors a camera, a digital camera, to take photos of what they were interested in. And in the upper left there is a comb of bone, one of the first so-called industrial products. And this was a hairdresser. And this also says something, that lots of the engagement was related to personal interest in terms of work, leisure interest, or family histories. So one mother said to the child, oh, the skeleton you see here was dug up where we visited grandfather last summer, so they relate to your own family history. Well, to continue this with the pictorial illustrations, in bottom left is a house, an old house, and one student of architecture asked, well, why do they show these houses like this? Because we do not know actually how they were. And upright is a student in history and he was more interested in the labels. How did they talk about the objects exhibited? So this is the third aspect of level, the meta level, where you reflect on how the museum decided to represent this period of time. So you have emotional engagement, you have relations to everyday experience, family history, special interests, and you have this meta level of reflecting on why is information produced like this, in this way. And then we also ask them, thirdly, to produce afterwards, when we interview them, some kind of map of the exhibition. And this is one map of the exhibition. Room 1, room 2, room 3. But a quite different kind of map is this one, more showing the kind of engagement and interest in different objects, exactly like this one. So here we can see very many individual interpretations of an exhibition. So this study of a more semi-formal situation where people engage, make meaning and learn, we try to capture different ways of understanding their engagement and learning and their sign making. And these, of course, are elements that we could carry on to a more formal teaching learning situation, like in elementary school or at the university level. And as we earlier talked about, the operation theatre is some kind of in-between formal and informal learning situation. You actually go to the operation theatre to train yourself as an individual with a capacity to engage meaningfully with all these different semiotic resources in a social communicative situation. So what we can try to understand is, how does this student show his, or in other cases her, understanding and knowledge? And how can we assess what's going on here? So I think to understand learning from this communicative point of view is to understand how we read texts, how we construct learning environments, but also how do we learn in more informal or semi-formal situations related to our education.